Honestly, get wrecked. Ugh, whatever, okay. Let me get my grimy little fingers on it. That's ridiculous, Stephanie. Hello! Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. That was super sweet of you. Oh my goodness, look at me today. I'm giving you mature energy. Got the gold jewelry on. We got my Oreja Linda earrings. Got my Humans Before Handles necklace on. Yes, I am still rocking the butterfly clips. I know that may be throwing you off a little bit because you're like, oh, look at her. She's a glamorous New York socialite. She's gotta be some really cool age, like 33 or something. Nope, I am 26 and I am wearing purple butterfly clips because I only have butterfly clips in bright colors and I need to invest in some more neutral colored butterfly clips because butterfly clips are my favorite thing and I will not explain it any further. But that's not what this video is about. You did not click on this video to watch me have a crisis about the color of my butterfly clips and whether or not they help me keep up the ruse of looking like a New York socialite. No, you clicked on this video because you, like me, have an interest in a little bit of anti-consumerism, a little bit of telling you not to buy stuff you don't need, a little bit of anti-haul goodness. Yes, today is my monthly anti-haul. I've been doing these for the last few months and I gotta say, they are so much fun. Sometimes it's fun to talk trash, you know, and it's all hyperbole, it's all exaggerated, it's all dramatic for being dramatic's sake, but I do also think that anti-hauls are really beneficial towards anti-consumerism, especially we're coming up on the holiday season, so the beauty brands are like pumping it, pumping it, pumping it, pumping it, pumping it out. That was me turning a wheel, like a cog in the machine. You guys get it. But yeah, it can be a little overwhelming with all of these releases. You know, brands offer sales, so they make you feel like you're getting a good deal, even though like they never intended for that to be the full price of the item because they knew that they were gonna have a sale, so they made the item more expensive to start with so that they could put it 20% off and still make money from it. I can't believe I got through that sentence without stopping. Wow, I must have had a lot of coffee today. Must have? I did. But I got a big old list here of stuff to talk about with you today. We got some drugstore, we got some high-end, you know, it's a whole mixed bag here. So if you like anti-hauls like me and you want to talk a little bit of trash about these new holiday releases, then I encourage you to please subscribe and keep on watching. It's coming at you right now. So the first holiday release that I want to talk to you about is from a drugstore brand. It's from Physicians Formula, everybody's favorite inclusive drugstore brand. That was a joke. It was a joke because they're not inclusive at all. I'm sorry, it wasn't very funny. So Physicians Formula came out with their All-Star face palette. I feel like they do this every year, but honestly I can't really remember. But basically it's a face palette with 6 different items in it. It has 2 bronzers, 3 highlights slash glow powders, I think they called them, and then 1 blush. And as you can see from this photo here, it is very clear whose skin tone it is aimed towards. It is aimed towards my skin tone. It is aimed towards people with fair or light skin. I mean, maybe medium, but even that's pushing it. Physicians Formula, it's 2020. Like, and you know what? I hate when people use that as an excuse because they should have been doing this the whole time. But especially with how far we have come in the makeup industry with inclusivity, and don't get me wrong, there still is a long way to go, but with how far we've come, I'm just ready to leave Physicians Formula behind at this point because if you can't get with the inclusivity, if you can't offer multiple face palettes for multiple skin tones, then honestly, get wrecked. Like, get out of here. I don't care anymore. Neonmua and Midas Cosmetics changed the game with their face palettes. They came out with 4 different face palettes aimed towards different skin tones. I have the lightest shade, but I'll put a picture up here of all of the shades they offered. This is an indie brand doing this. Midas Cosmetics is an indie brand. Indie brands are known to have a lot less money than the big makeup brands like you see in the drugstore and like you see in Sephora. So the fact that Midas Cosmetics made this happen and just did such a good job with it and made such an inclusive range for face palettes, and Physicians Formula is gonna come out here with all of their money and being a company that's like decades old at this point.
1937 is when they started their company.
And they're gonna try to give us this? I just think it's so important to call out brands that are just blatantly non-inclusive. You don't have anyone in your marketing department that was like, hey, this might not be received well because it's only for pale people. Like, what the heck? But I mean, that also just clearly goes to show you that they don't have a diverse marketing team, which is not surprising because they don't make diverse products. This is just an absolute embarrassment for them. It is just, they should be so ashamed of themselves for not making any attempt at all to diversify over the, like I said, decades that they have been a company. Diversify your products or stop making them, because it's not acceptable anymore. It's never been acceptable, but come on, it's 2020. Get with it. Anti-haul. Get out of here. Okay. All right. So the next holiday release I would like to talk about is from Colourpop. Colourpop came out with a new collection, even though they just launched like 3 new items last week. Come on. We knew this was gonna happen. I feel like Colourpop is releasing stuff rapidly all of the time, like every day of the 365 days of the year, but once it gets to holiday, they're really like, again, this is me turning the wheels of the machine because we're just cogs in the machine. But yeah, especially around the holidays, they're just like shooting stuff out like nobody's business. So their latest holiday release is the Colourpop. Oh man, I really meant to look up how to say this word before, but no, I guess we'll just try to say it. Amoro collection. Amoro. So I'm gonna talk about the eyeshadow palettes because I feel like every time Colourpop releases a collection, they release like a couple of boring blushes that have glitter in them that I have no interest in, and a couple of lip colors that are just like nudes and I don't care. So I'm gonna talk about the eyeshadow palettes. The first one is their Ménage à Moi. I have to give it to them. Colourpop has some of the cutest names in the game. I just think they're very creative and cute. So the Ménage à Moi palette is giving me burgundy vibes. It's also kind of giving me Huda Beauty Naughty Nude vibes. I don't think I talked about that in my last anti-haul. I don't think that was out yet, but Huda Beauty came out with this Naughty palette, which is also like kind of a burgundy nude palette. We all know about Slippery at this point. You don't need me to talk about that shade that's just like sticky nonsense and looks like a virus. Like, it's just, you know, that was a gimmick. We get it. We knew that was a gimmick. But this Colourpop Ménage à Moi palette is kind of giving me dupey vibes to the Huda Beauty Naughty Nudes palette. But also at the end of the day, like, everything has been done before, and I don't think it's trying to be an exact dupe. It's just like, you know, they're both burgundy and they're both like kind of sensual, you know, because Huda's is the naughty palette and it has a lot of naughty names, and the Colourpop palette is Ménage à Moi. I don't know, they give me similar vibes. So I kind of feel like if you wanted the Huda Beauty Naughty Nude palette because you're really into burgundies, this could be a better option for you, but at the same time it has 2 glitters in it, and I hate when Colourpop puts glitters in palettes. It's so unnecessary, and it's such a divisive product too. Like, people either love glitters or hate glitters, so I feel like they would be better off just selling the glitters as singles. Like, why do you keep putting them in palettes when you lose so many people by putting a glitter in the palette? But you know what? Colourpop also makes a lot of money, so they don't care what I have to say, so it's fine. But that's how I feel about the first palette. The second palette I was a little more interested in, but really only just because of that one beautiful shade of olive green. Everything else in here is very goldy looking. Oh, I didn't say the name. It's the Boudoir Noir palette. But yeah, it's giving me gold vibes, which I personally don't wear a lot of gold, says the person currently wearing gold. But you know what? This is different because the gold I'm wearing on my eyes today is the shade Money from the Zodiac Cosmetics Virgo palette, and this is like up there with my top 5 favorite shades of all time. 'Cause look at this. This is not just gold, it's green, it's maroon, it's perfect, it's everything to me. So that is my excuse for wearing gold here. But the golds in this Colourpop palette are just, you know, they're a little more plain, you know, they're just kind of your stereotypical gold shades, which for me is not really something I'm looking for right now. And I've said before, I'm not the biggest fan of Colourpop's formula. I know people are always like, oh my god, Colourpop's formula is so good for the price, but for me, it's good for the price, but it's still not as good as other formulas that I have, and especially when you can get stuff from indie brands that is like way better. But that's enough about that. I think both of these are fine. I am anti-hauling them, but I think they're kind of boring. But talking about this one, the Boudoir Noir. Anytime I say anything French, I like move my mouth like this. Boudoir Noir. What's up with that? But this Boudoir Noir palette brings me into the next thing I wanted to talk about, because I kind of feel like this gives me similar vibes to the Huda Beauty Gold Obsessions palette, which she just released as a holiday release too. Does Huda do that every holiday season? She releases a big palette and then also a tiny palette? Maybe. That's kind of cool, I guess. It gives you an option if you don't want to spend the money on the huge one, then you can get the little one, even though they kind of have nothing to do with each other. Oh, whatever, okay. But the Boudoir Noir palette kind of gave me similar vibes to this, since they're both gold, although I do think the Huda one looks much nicer. Like, it just looks higher quality. I'll put the swatches on the screen too. That's what really did it for me. When I saw the pictures of the swatches, I was like, wow, okay, I might want that. Because I do like the Obsessions formula. I have her Coral Obsessions. I got this in like an Ipsy bag a long time ago, so I didn't pay full price for it, but I think these are $27 and you get 9 shades, and it is a really nice formula. Her foiled shades, her metallic-y shades are so beautiful. I mean, this shade in the Coral Obsessions palette is like one of my favorite shades of all time. It's so pretty. And the thing with Huda is that I kind of wish she sold singles, because sometimes I'll see a palette of hers and I'll see like 1 or 2 shades that I'm like blown away by, but I don't want the whole palette, you know? Like with this Gold Obsessions palette, there's a couple shades in here that I'm like, even though I just said I don't like gold, I like rose gold quite a bit, and there's a couple of rose gold shades in here that just look so pretty, but I feel like the palette itself is a little repetitive. Like, I don't know, the swatches look beautiful, but looking at them all next to each other, I'm like, how different are these all gonna look on the eye, you know? Because you can see the differences swatched, you know? Sometimes you swatch 2 colors that are similar, and when you look at them right next to each other, you're like, oh, okay, those are different. But if you put them both on the eye, then it's like, how big of a difference are you gonna actually be able to see? So I'm gonna pass on this gold palette. But Huda, if you ever watch any of my videos, if there is a universe in which somebody from Huda Beauty watches my videos, please release some of your shimmers as singles. They are so beautiful, and I would love to like build my own palette with a bunch of Huda Beauty shimmers. Or maybe you could do an all shimmer palette. I don't know, I just think your shimmers are great. And yeah, I am anti-hauling this product, but come out with singles, please. Oh man, this is gonna be an eyeshadow heavy video. But you know what, I feel like that's the holiday season. Nobody's coming out with foundations in the holiday season. Actually, Huda just came out with a foundation that actually looks like it's been getting really good reviews. But you know, eyeshadows are the reason for the season. They're the product that makeup brands can charge the most for, so obviously they're coming out with eyeshadow palettes. And like, you know, most people don't want to get foundation as a gift, because unless you know their exact shade, like that's a really risky gift to give. Anyways, all of this to say, I would like to talk to you about the Haus Labs 4-way eyeshadow palettes. Okay, so I've been kind of outspoken about Haus Labs on my channel, and the fact that I just like don't fully get it. Like, I don't know, I feel like every time they come out with a new product, I'm like, oh, eyeliner, that's cool, I guess. I don't know, just nothing has excited me from their launches. This is not a brand that I've totally written off. Like, every time they release something new, I'm very excited to see what it is, and I feel like this release of their 4-way eyeshadow palettes has been the thing that I got the most excited for. I saw the photo on Trend Mood and I was like, oh my gosh, bright colors, yes. I know they're not all bright colors, but there's a couple of them that have beautiful, vibrant colors, and I was very excited because her palettes, like her Stupid Love palette, is expensive, and she has some other random neutral palette that's also expensive. Like, her eyeshadow has been too expensive for me to take the risk on, so I saw these quads and I was like, oh my god, heck yeah, I'm so excited, I'll definitely try one of those. And then I saw the price, and I was not feeling it any longer, because Lady Gaga has had the nerve to charge me 24 US American dollars for 4 shades of eyeshadow, and I'm sorry, that's nuts, that's stupid, that's incorrect. It's 4 eyeshadows. Do you realize what that breaks down to? Do it in your head right now. What's 24 divided by 8? Dang it, I said the answer. It's $8 per eyeshadow, and that's a lot. I mean, you look at most brands' single shadows and they don't even cost that much, so it's just a little obscene to me. And I definitely think certain palettes look more worth it than others to me. Like, the one I was most interested in was this one. I forget what the name of it is, but it has like pinks and greens, and it has a white shade that I think is also shimmery. I think if there was a palette of all really exciting colors, I'd be more excited about it. I just cannot believe she would charge $24 for this, because if you watch my video talking about celebrity makeup brands, one of my biggest criticisms of Lady Gaga is that when she created Haus Labs and chose to go exclusively with Amazon, she said that was due to accessibility, and she wanted more people to be able to get her product. And I have a few problems with that. I have a couple of gripes with that statement, because one, Amazon is not, they don't have stores. You have to order online. I mean, I know they're starting to come out with like Amazon Go stores, but I don't think those have makeup in them, and also those are only available in like major cities. So one, you've already created an online exclusive. You can't go into a Sephora and try it. If you would put it in Sephora, then people could go into Sephora and try your product before buying it. And also accessibility can be getting a product easily, but accessibility also means people having access to it financially. And I just feel like this brand is like Sephora pricing and then some, you know, $24 for a quad. Just to compare that for you, the brand Viseart also just came out with quads for the holiday season, and Viseart is known as being like a really high quality eyeshadow brand. They are known as being a more luxury brand, and I'm not saying I like these quads either. Like, I think these are boring neutral quads, and like, I saw the swatches, they don't look that impressive, but even they charge $22. Like, Viseart is charging less than Haus Labs. That's a little, I don't know, I feel like that should be a sign to me that, like, you know, $24 is asking too much. If Haus Labs had charged like $15 for these quads, I would have been much more excited to try one, because I am really curious to try the eyeshadow formula. Of course, the makeup lover in me is like, let me get my grimy little fingers on it, but the non-wealthy part of me is like, I can't drop $24 on a quad unless I know it's gonna be phenomenal. And even then, why drop $24 on a quad when you could drop $25 on my By Mel Lops Radioactive palette, or drop $27 on a Huda Beauty Obsessions palette? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Why would you pay $24 for 4 shadows? That's $8 a shadow. That's ridiculous, Stephanie. I can't believe it. It's Lady Gaga's real name, you guys. I'm a real stan. No, I like Lady Gaga a lot, and I'm interested to see what she comes out with next. I don't know, maybe if she does some sort of sale where it's like a buy one get one or something. $24 is just too much. It's in the anti-haul. You know I'm not getting it. Ugh, I don't even want to talk about Morphe. I hate that I have to talk about Morphe in every anti-haul. I mean, I guess it's my channel, it's my videos. I don't have to talk about anything, but come on, I have to talk about these 2 Morphe releases. Okay, so we'll start with the Morphe x Lisa Frank collection. So the Morphe Lisa Frank collection, it's a collab, but it's like a collab with branding only, because the palette they released is the 35B palette. So the 35B palette, from my understanding, was a palette that existed and then was discontinued. I don't know, I guess Morphe does that with their palettes, where they'll just randomly discontinue them. I don't know if it's because they weren't selling or what, but this was an old palette that they brought back and did it in collaboration with Lisa Frank. This is not a criticism of the branding. I think Lisa Frank is so cute. I used to have Lisa Frank folders growing up. I had a Lisa Frank pencil case. Like, I am all about the aesthetic of Lisa Frank, and I think that this palette makes sense with the aesthetic of Lisa Frank. An issue that I have is, one, the fact that it's not an original palette, I think is kind of like very lazy and clearly a cash grab. And I mean, that's kind of Morphe's whole thing, is that they're a cash grab company that just slaps people's name on stuff to sell it and puts very minimal effort into the products. But aside from that, Lisa Frank has a little bit of unresolved drama that they didn't sort out before this collaboration. So if you weren't aware, Lisa Frank was supposed to come out with a makeup collection with a company called Glamour Dolls, and there was a Kickstarter started for it. And basically people could donate certain amounts of money and they were guaranteed product in return. So some people were donating like $100 to this Kickstarter, and the whole thing was that they needed this money to work on the Lisa Frank makeup collection, and Lisa Frank was aware of this. So what happened is, I don't know if they didn't make enough money from the Kickstarter or what. I mean, it seems like they made a ton of money, but I believe, and I hope I'm saying this right, I'll fact check myself and put any corrections on the screen, but nobody ever got their money back from the Kickstarter. And I believe the Kickstarter was started by Glamour Dolls, so you could argue that's their responsibility, but also Lisa Frank was the big company working with them. Like, Lisa Frank is a much more household name than Glamour Dolls. I hadn't heard of Glamour Dolls until I read about this whole drama that happened with them. So it just feels a little icky that Lisa Frank would leave that whole thing unresolved and now come collaborate with Morphe. Like, clean up your mess before you start a new one, you know? Like, if it's not their fault, tell us it's not your fault, you know? Make a statement saying, hey, I know we were supposed to do a makeup collab before, that didn't work out because of reason XYZ, now we're really excited for this partnership with with Morphe. Like, just acknowledge it so that you don't leave like little babies like me to talk about it, you know? I don't know, it just all feels gross to me. I don't like Morphe as a brand. Like I said earlier, I think that they're very lazy with their branding and they just kind of slap people's names on stuff and make a lot of money from it. And you know what? That's a business model that's been working for them, but it's not something I want to give money to, so it's definitely not something I'll be buying. And now let's talk about another collab that I think is lazy and they just slap somebody's name on that I'm not going to be buying, and it's the Morphe x Nikita Dragon collab. So aside from the fact of Nikita just being like a very problematic person, I mean, are we surprised that Morphe collaborated with a problematic person? No, we're not. But even just ignoring the fact that Nikita herself is problematic, this palette feels very lazy. I mean, one, if you look at the Lisa Frank palette, right, and then look at the Nikita palette, they're not all that different. You definitely don't need both of these. If for some reason you really, really want a colorful palette and you want to buy one from Morphe, don't buy both. They're way too similar. The only thing that makes this Nikita palette like a little bit different is that they have this one marbled shade, which I believe is new for Morphe, and I gotta admit, I think the marbled shades are cool. I don't think the marbled shades do anything all that fancy because you rub them together and they turn into one color. Like, they're not a duochrome, you know? But I do understand the appeal. And then they also have a pressed glitter in the corner, but those are really the only two shades that are unique. I mean, the rest of it just honestly kind of looks like the 35B with some more neutrals. And I just think, I don't know, it's just very lazy looking to me. I don't know. I don't think all Morphe collabs have always been lazy. I had the James Charles palette at a point and I ended up decluttering it just because I don't love Morphe's formula, but you could tell with that palette, that one felt a little more thought out. It felt like there was a rhyme or reason to it. James had a reason for why he had certain shades that were in larger pans than others. It was because he knew that you were going to use those faster, and everything made sense together and everything was organized very well. And I just look at this Nikita palette and I'm like, okay, like you got some colors in there and a couple of funky shades. I don't know, it just feels lazy. It feels boring. I'm not interested in it. I don't like Morphe. I don't like Nikita. What else can I say about it? I'm exhausted over here. I'm obviously not buying this collection. All right, my friends, that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you liked this video. Keep in mind that just because I talked about something that I might not like, why am I talking in an accent all of a sudden? Oh my goodness. Just remember that just because I talked about something that I don't like doesn't mean that you're not allowed to like it, and you should not feel guilty for buying something just because somebody else told you that it was a crappy product. Like, if you like that Morphe palette, there is no judgment over here, my friend. You are absolutely allowed to buy the Lisa Frank palette and buy the Nikita Dragon palette if those are colors that speak to you and you are in a financial place where you are comfortable paying that amount for that quality, which is not really good quality, but I'm sorry, I'm not judging. There's no judgment over here. Remember. I'm looking in the mirror telling myself to remember not to be judgmental. You guys, I'm a Virgo. It's hard. But yeah, just because I don't like something doesn't mean that you are not allowed to like something. So, you know, just make smart, informed decisions. Look out for sales. I'm gonna be doing a video later this week where I talk about Black Friday deals that I actually think are worth it. Because like I said earlier in the video, I think a lot of these deals that you're getting from companies are them making the price higher to start with so that they can afford to do a deal. So I'm going to be really doing my research and finding the deals that I actually think are good deals and sharing those with you. So maybe if you were thinking about some of these products, wait until Black Friday, wait until they have a sale. If you're going to get a Morphe palette, oh god, don't spend full price on it. Please use a discount code at least, you know, get some sort of a deal on it, my god. But yeah, I hope you liked this video. Let me know what you're anti-hauling this month. Is there anything that I didn't talk about that you wished I would have talked about? Warn us all. If there's something that you saw or that you bought and disappointed you, ooh, I would love to hear about what products you bought and disappointed you recently. Oh, that's like my kryptonite. I love to hear about disappointing products that you've actually tried. Because here's the deal, I'm over here talking a lot of trash about products I haven't even tried. So if you've tried any of these, your opinion is so much more valid than mine. So please leave it down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you like anything on my face today, I will be linking all of the makeup I am wearing down below, as well as a ton of Black Lives Matter resources. I will have petitions to sign, places to donate, and ways to help protesters, so please click on those links if you have the time. And I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!